Welcome to the deep dive. Today we are cutting through all the marketing hype to look at the real cost of two huge Linux releases, Debian 13 and Fedora 43.
Hmm.
Our mission here is to really understand how their totally opposite upgrade cycles are changing what hardware you can use and, how much time you have to spend just maintaining your own machine.
And that's the vital context, right?
Yeah.
On one hand, Debian promises that, famous 5 years of support.
The rock-solid stability.
Exactly. While Fedora is all about the cutting edge, a new release every 6 months. But what the sources are showing is that both of them have just made these huge controversial decisions.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Let's start with Debian 13, the champion of stability.
Right.
The trade-off is really stability versus just stagnation. Because it releases every 2 years, the stable software you install is often already 1 or 2 years old.
Oh, yeah. We're talking old Python, older web browsers, developer tools that are just missing modern features.
And what's wild is that their own documentation basically says, well, if you need modern packages, you should just use the testing branch.
Which completely defeats the purpose. For the listener who chose Debian for that stability, that's not a solution.
Not at all. And if you're holding on to older systems, this is where the cost becomes like physical hardware.
Mm-hmm.
Debian 13 just made a massive move.
Right.
They completely, totally eliminated support for 32-bit by 86.
And when we say eliminated, we mean zero exceptions. The installer is gone. The kernel, gone.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a perfectly good 32-bit machine, Debian is forcing you to abandon it,
Your only option is to just stop upgrading.
which locks you out of all future security patches. It's a dead end.
Okay, so let's pivot. Let's look at the polar opposite. Fedora 43. They are obsessed with speed. New version every 6 months.
Sounds great on the surface.
But here's the ticking clock you have to watch. Each version only gets 13 months of support total.
And that clock starts ticking on the day of release, not the day you install it. It's an upgrade treadmill.
A treadmill is the perfect word for it.
Yeah, if you miss that twice-a-year upgrade window, your system just poof.
Yeah.
It's unsupported. No more security patches. You have to upgrade.
And just like Debian, Fedora also pushed a huge tech shift that's causing immediate problems.
Right. They completely removed X11 support from the main GNOME desktop.
So everyone is forced onto Wayland.
Everyone.
Yeah.
And this is where we're seeing the real-world fallout. People rely on X11 for professional work. We're talking specific VPN clients, remote desktop tools, even some graphics tablets.
And the reports are already coming in.
Oh, yeah. System freezes, mission-critical apps that just won't work anymore.
So this brings us to what might be the biggest unadvertised cost of all, and it connects Fedora to the corporate world.
The Red Hat connection.
Exactly. The sources confirm Fedora isn't just a community project. It is Red Hat's official testing ground for features going into RHEL.
Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So when you connect the dots, it means every Fedora user is, well, you're essentially part of their QA team.
You're beta testing for a multi-billion-dollar corporation.
For free. You are finding the bugs, debugging new features, and all that work benefits a massive enterprise product.
Yeah.
You really have to ask if the bleeding edge is worth the unpaid labor.
So at the end of the day, what does this mean for you? You're stuck between these two upgrade nightmares. Debian gives you stability, but you have to throw out your perfectly functional 32-bit hardware and use old tools.
Or you go with Fedora, you get the newest features, but you're forced to upgrade constantly and deal with things breaking as you test software for the enterprise.
It's a tough spot.
The conclusion from the material is pretty clear.
Hmm.
Neither distribution seems to fully respect your time or your hardware. And it raises a really important question for me.
Yeah.
If this is what they call progress, what specific groups of users, maybe people with older systems or just less time for constant maintenance, are being left behind by the modern Linux experience?